Welcome to Hawks and Lavender Rose, a collaboration dedicated to serving the community through the foundation of love, trust, and advocacy for conscious living. Now, here are your hosts, Jennifer Williams and Shauna Gulbrand.
Welcome to Hawks and Lavender Rose. I'm Shauna.
I'm Jennifer.
Welcome. Thanks for being here, tuning in, listening, watching. Here we are.
Yep, sharing.
And
How are you? Us. Good.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm good.
Yeah. What's new?
Well, I was going to talk about the full moon yesterday. So this is what I discovered when we had Victor on, and I was talking about the Sagittarius new moon. I realized that we weren't launching that one until January.
Oh.
And what would it matter if I was even talking about that?
Well, but I think it just brings awareness to moons, like the moon phases and what you can do around the different phases to just focus your energies and stuff. So I think it's okay.
I stepped outside last night, and then this morning when I came down here and I shut the light off, I opened the blind and the moon was right there. It was
in the morning.
Yeah.
Isn't that the best?
I actually prefer seeing the full moon in the morning than at night.
Like when it's light out too, or it's still dark?
It was right at dusk.
Okay.
So it was just beautiful. Yesterday morning, the morning before, so it was full yesterday, the morning before when I opened up the blinds, it was huge. And it was right on the horizon. And I just felt so much gratitude for seeing the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It's just gorgeous.
I love seeing it when it's light out. It reminds me of, I don't know, it just feels otherworldly when you see the full moon out during the day.
Yeah.
And you're reminding me when I was in New Mexico over the summer at the ashram opening in Taos. I woke up, actually the full moon woke me up in the middle of the night, and well, it was early morning, like very early morning, and I just stayed up and I watched it. And then when it was just late enough in the morning, I woke up one of the other women that I was there with, and I was like, let's go outside because we're going to see the full moon and the sunrise at the same time. And we had a blast. I burnt an entire huge stick of sage while we were out there. We lit candles, and we were like maniacs because we were like, at one point, because it shifts a little bit, so we were like running down the road to make sure we could see both at the same exact time. But it was such a moment. It was just like a special
And I imagine
moment.
It was probably a lot easier to do that out there because it's more flat.
Right.
Here in New England, that's really hard to do because of the trees and the hills and everything.
Yeah.
It's like you can see the sun rising, but by the time you see the sun, the sun has already gone down.
Right. And there was a moment we had to work at it, but we definitely
made it happen.
We made it happen, and we ended up doing like a little ceremony and chanting and
This little ritual.
Yeah, it was a cool moment. Yeah.
So get out during the full moon. Go outside. Put your crystals outside. Put your cards outside, depending on the weather.
Just connect.
Filtered water. Put it outside. Make some moon water. I almost did that last night. I had that big jug up on the counter, but I was afraid it would just be frozen.
Oh,
I could have.
Well, and you could keep it in your house with the same intention too, on the windowsill. Yeah.
So when I came down here this morning and I opened the blinds, generally I close them again. And I've been doing it every morning since we put in our walkway lights because I just love to look at them.
Yeah.
And this morning I left the blinds open when I was meditating. I said, you know what? Come on in. Let the moonbeams in. Energy of the moon.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about today.
No.
We are talking about New Year's and
the new year.
The practices that accompany a new calendar year. Now, we're talking about more than that. Do you want to say anything? How do we want to let this unfold naturally? How do we want to do this?
Well, I think okay. So we have decided to talk about the New Year show, or whatever. Talk about the new year, and it integrates with like me leaving the podcast because and Shauna and I talk about this all the time, following our intuition and following our heart, even when it's uncomfortable and it's different from what, like, maybe where you thought you were going. And so, you know, I had to, Shauna had the feeling, I think we both had the feeling for a while, almost like since around when it started, because that's when my life started to shift, but it wasn't in complete shift.
It did.
Yeah. And so as time has gone by and things really have shifted, especially with, you know, me and Josh and everything, I just this strong, and we, like I said, we've talked about it over and over again, this strong sense of like my life is going in this direction. In order for me to make space for that, I have to make changes. And part of that is, you know, as much as I love doing this podcast with you, it's like the time, you know, I have to free up that time to create space for the other stuff that I know that's the nudge, that's the direction that my life is going in, and I can't do it all.
Yeah, absolutely not.
And so there's the challenge of, like, you know, giving up this time, you know, the time together, which I totally cherish, but I know that we have our relationship.
Right.
That's not going anywhere, you know, but yeah, so anyway, I had to come to terms with what I needed to do, and then actually make the choice and have the conversation with you, and I love our relationship because I know that, you know, like I sent you a text because you and I both love to write, and I know when I write I can be focused and poignant and sort of like dig in how you and I dig into all the different aspects of why we make the decisions that we make. And
Right.
Yeah, so I didn't feel like it was copping out because I knew that we would talk, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
never looked at it as copying.
no, I knew you wouldn't, but sometimes I do think texting to get a point across is copping out, you know what I mean? But I didn't feel like that with you. Yeah, and it wasn't easy. Like, I don't know, it's both. It's everything that we always talk about.
It's this and
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And we have spoken at nauseum about the need to create space.
Yep.
Right. So we want, when something is entering our life, and well, let me just say that when something is entering our life, whatever it is, we need to make space. Well, not we don't need to, but we can choose then to make space for it to enter fully.
Right.
When we want something new to enter our life, when we want shift, we have to make space for it. That can mean physical space and emotional space, mental space, spiritual space, whatever.
Yeah. Well,
and
in
that's
many
what
different
you're doing.
areas of life too. Yeah.
That's what we do every day if we're conscious of it.
Right. Yeah, it's true. And not, you know, I may have felt it a few months ago, but I didn't know. So it was like, I'm not going to act on like this complete unknown.
Right.
And then as things started to fall into place, it started to make sense. Okay, well, and I know I need to do that. And there's been a lot of changes that I'm slowly gradually making in my life in order to make room for this
What's
sort
entering?
of like, these rooms that have lived in the back of my consciousness for a very long time that I almost forgot about, some of them, you know, and maybe some of them are new rooms, but it's kind of like, all right, this is what I wanted. And geez, talk about a long journey. There's so many threads that are coming to fruition over the course of my life recently, of like that have been over 20 years, some even 30 years living in the back of me somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just interesting to see it happening and to have all like the whole, you know, part of the hero's journey, right? Joseph Campbell, recognizing the journey and moving in that direction, even if it causes that discomfort, but it creates so much joy and love. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway,
It's
Shauna
everything.
is going to be
Moving,
continuing.
yes, this is going to be moving forward.
Yep.
But I do want to say that I did look it up, and I meant to start our timer, and I forgot. So the last episode with you will be January 14th,
Okay.
January 21st, I
Okay.
believe. God, I thought I had my facts straight.
And maybe you'll have me on as a guest.
Maybe.
Maybe. I'll apply. I'll apply to be a guest.
Maybe I'll put a price on that.
Right?
Like, okay, you And I don't feel the need to say anything right now because really I just want to give you the space to say what you want to say.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I support you in whatever decisions you make.
Mm-hmm.
But I am, for those listeners, I am moving forward. The podcast is not going away.
Right.
Because I feel this is something, and I know I mentioned this in our first episode, that I had my own radio show for a while, and I loved that.
Mm-hmm.
It was so fun. And having the podcast is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. And here it is.
Yeah.
And it's not going anywhere.
Well, and I think that there's, sometimes you just need that extra push to get going with something,
Mm-hmm.
and so me falling away makes sense with your path, that this would be yours, and, that we began together just to work through all that beginning crap that we talked about, right? All the pressure and the expectations and everything that you work through to get to this point.
Right.
And now moving forward, it's not even a question in your mind.
No.
You know what I mean?
Not at all.
That's like a beautiful thing about working together and like supporting each other and then letting each other go. We've had to let each other go on our own paths quite a lot, actually, since we met in so many different ways, and yet we still, I've talked about it, and I already talked about it in the show, like the relationship, our personal relationship that we have developed is so strong. It is. It's like one of the strongest friendships that I've ever had. It could be the strongest friendship that I've ever had, and the deepest and the most honest on so many levels. I mean, for real, when I'm sitting here thinking about that.
And I want to credit you for a moment for that practice of honesty that I have, because I learned that through my work at Pathways Institute, and you were the one that introduced me to Pathways Institute.
Aww.
So it's all your fault. But that's true. I mean, that's truth that I speak right now. Would I have come to this practice of truth? Probably.
Yeah.
It's part of my path. It's just I learned that. I started practicing that because you're the one that introduced me to it. Mm-hmm. I remember you harassing me.
You
got to go to this weekend conference. What?
I know. I don't know if I have the time. I know. I did
all the blah, blah,
thing.
blah, blah, blah excuses.
Yep. I did that for a year and a half.
Go ahead.
And then went because I just wanted the person to shut up. Literally, I was like, fine, I'm just going to go so you stop bothering me.
And it's so interesting because from the moment I sat down in that circle, I thought, oh, I'm exactly where I need to be. This is awesome.
Right?
I knew it intuitively, immediately I knew it.
Yeah.
One more thing I want to talk about. We set the intention to do a New Year's. We haven't even touched upon that yet. But one thing I wanted to talk about, so for those listening and watching, it's pretty clear at this point. We record when we can record, and then we launch the episodes. And I've mentioned many times about the self-reflection I've done since we've begun this podcast. And I noticed something when we talked earlier before we started recording about that need to manage others, right? Manage emotions, manage feelings. When we were recording with Victor, I said something to you. It was kind of a joke. And we were in the middle of conversation, and you didn't react the way I expected you to react. And then, do you remember I brought it up to you again? You probably don't even remember, right?
No.
I've been pondering it.
What
and you
was
haven't.
it?
I don't even remember.
Oh, all right. Okay.
I don't remember.
Okay.
But the whole point is, while the conversation continued, I was in my head thinking, I need to fix this.
Oh.
I need to let her know why it was I was coming from this place, or why I said what I said. So I don't know if that was me needing to manage my own emotions, or me needing to manage how you felt about it.
Right. How you thought I felt
or
about
how
it.
I thought you felt about it.
Yeah.
Or even Victor, because he was here too.
Yeah.
So
oh, I gotta go back and watch it.
It's just like, blah. All right. So anyway.
That's interesting. Yeah.
That's something that Jennifer and I have been talking about recently. Something that's new to me is my need to manage other people, my need to manage emotions, my need to manage. Yeah, we'll just keep that. Never mind. That's going to be another.
Well, I think
when you're a guest, we can talk.
We can talk about how far we've come and letting go. The surrender.
Managing other people and their emotions.
I do want to say though that I think that this fits in perfectly with the New Year's episode, because what is happening in both of our lives, at least for me, is a product of how I start my year each year, right? So I have a word normally. I don't even remember what it was this year. Actually, it was harmony. It was harmony. And I don't know how that's going to reveal itself, and so it's when my word is harmony, because it comes from, some divine place that I know that that's what I follow. Harmony, joy. I don't know how it's going to unfold, but I have to trust how things unfold. So even though you make I made plans as the year progressed, and as it began and progressed and things unfolded, none of us know what is actually going to happen in our lives.
Stepping into the uncertainty.
But if the intention, the feeling, the cultivation, all of that is harmony, then I'm trusting that it's for the highest good. And I have to trust that, like, I can't force, right? Like, this idea of how I thought maybe my life was going to go. I can't force that into some kind of completion when I'm being pulled in another direction that I know is way more in the flow. And that's the harmony. I got to follow harmony wherever it takes me.
Well, it makes perfect sense, because from my own experience, the more I force something, the more conflict I find around it, both internally and externally. And it's about tuning in. For me, it's that tuning in and asking the questions of myself. Where is the disharmony within me? What is it being caused by?
Mm-hmm.
And like I mentioned to you before we started recording, the networking group that I was part of, I was forcing that to try to make it work. Like, it just never felt right energetically. Right. And that's why I needed to step away. And once I stepped away and opened up space for new to enter, I just felt so light.
Yeah.
The harmony came back.
Yeah.
Because there was lots of disharmony there.
Yeah. Yeah, that really created space.
It's all about creating space. It's all about practice. I could just go on and on.
I know, but it is. It's the practice. It's the space. It's following through with
listening.
The intention. Oh, listening. Yeah, and trusting.
And being honest with ourselves. Yeah, I'm trying to make this work, but my soul is calling me this way.
Mm-hmm.
And then trusting that and walking into the uncertainty. And I know you know exactly.
Yeah.
All right, New Year's. Let me shift. For those watching, you must always think, wow, look at, I'm thinking that you're thinking a certain way. That Shauna's always moving. She's always shifting in her chair. I've mentioned this to you before. I talk about forcing and fighting the calendar year, the January through December. I roll my eyes.
Well, it is a little eye
January
rolling.
through December. I've always worked, or actually for the past 10 years of my life, birthday to birthday.
Okay.
That's my year.
That's cool.
So
I
on
actually
my
remember you telling me
birthday, I draw a card, I pick a word, and I work with numerology. We've talked about this, and right now I'm in a personal year 8. And that's what I work with from birthday to birthday. So all of this hype about, oh, I can't wait for this new year to be done. I'm leaving it behind. And in January 1st, I'm going to start to do this, this, and this. Well, why aren't you starting today?
Yeah. I know. There's not really, like, any difference.
And energetically, well, maybe it is for some people. Okay, so I'm speaking in broad terms here. When I wake up on January 1st, it's another day.
Yep.
I don't feel like, oh my God, here's a brand new year. I'm going to start it off fresh. And I imagine that some people do, and I'm not making light of that or disrespecting it. It's another day.
I honestly do love when I journal on January 1st. I love the ones, it feels new. This year, and I do love it, I don't know, there is something about a new year that feels, that I like to write. That's like I don't know, it feels fresh. But I know I can start any time, so I understand what you are saying too. But there is something I can just imagine me writing in my journal.
1/1/20.
Well, 20 just feels kind of cool. How weird, 2020.
Yeah. Woo! So
I
I found, I did a little research, of course, because that's what I do. A New Year's resolution. So we're going to talk about resolutions. We're going to talk about intentions, practices around the new year. A New Year's resolution is a tradition most common in the Western Hemisphere in which a person resolves to change an undesired trait or behavior to accomplish a personal goal or otherwise improve their life. Why are you waiting until January 1st? I'm sorry, I keep going back to
everybody's
that.
like, I'm going to be in shape this year.
Really? Go to the gym today!
I know. Don't wait. I mean, we get it, but at the same time, what can you really resolve within yourself? A commitment, like these different things. We should be committed to ourselves.
Yeah, we're going to talk about commitment because that plays a big role.
Mm-hmm.
Studies show that less than 25% of people actually stay committed to their resolutions after just 30 days, and only 8% accomplish them.
Wow. 8. Wow. That's 92% that don't.
Little?
Right.
Huge.
If someone told me I had an 8% chance to live, I wouldn't feel good about that.
No.
It's a small percentage.
Certainly not. U.S. News and World Report, 80% fail by February. So you said
Wow.
92%, they said 80%.
Okay.
All right, so we're
That's
going to talk
sad.
about a little bit, so our own practices. Like I said, I really don't have a New Year's practice. I don't.
It just makes me want to ask questions, though. Like, what do the listeners, do you set a New Year's resolution? What kind of pressure do you put on yourself? And if you do, quote unquote, fail, do you go back into the same pattern of like, I knew that was going to happen anyway, and this is the worst year ever? Like, can you already hear? Like, I'm like reading it on
I can't wait
Facebook.
for 2020 to be over.
I know, this has
January
been a horrible
2nd.
year, right? January 2nd, yeah. It's been the worst year ever. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just funny to think that, like, that I'll just say we, would put that much pressure to all of a sudden you have this perfect life because it's a new year.
That's what
It's a
I'm
joke.
trying to say.
Right, it's a joke. It's terrible. New Year's resolutions are just
Thing of the past.
It's-
Oh, God.
it's a recipe for disaster. They always have been.
And then what happens? We go through that cycle. Oh, I'm a failure, and I might as well not do anything. So let me grab a box of chocolates and a pint of ice cream, and instead of going to the gym, and then I'll just beat myself up until December 31st, and I'll say, "Here we go again."
And why do we quit? Why do we quit?
So I found out a little information about that.
Okay. Unrealistic.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
unrealistic goals. In some of the research that I did, and just stuff that came up for me. Do you want to commit to a new practice for 365 days?
Sorry. That's overwhelming.
Hugely overwhelming.
Right. Never mind 18 new practices.
And let's just stick to the idea of the gym. Let's just use that
Okay.
as an example.
Yep.
January 2nd, it's -10, and you're supposed to be going to a 6 a.m. class,
Ugh.
and you wake up in nice cozy bed. What happens?
Make an excuse.
It's a hell of a lot more comfortable than bright lights and weights.
Yeah, that's true. And the cold.
And the cold, and you have to start your car, and then put on gloves. So,
And also, chances are you're not
chances are
you're not going to lose the 30 pounds in 2 weeks, right? And so are you
No.
willing to? Takes a year. It takes, you got 6 weeks and then 12 weeks. And then after the course of a year, you can look back and see real results.
right.
But you got to stay the course.
The goals have to be reasonable.
Yeah.
So I actually have some of the factors around for the gym example is that we feel unfit, we're unpracticed, miserable January weather, like I just said, can play a role. Post-holiday blues, the stress, all of that leads to quote unquote failure.
Yeah.
Though I'm really living with that embrace failure sort of mindset lately. But it does lead to that failure. So reasonable goals need to be set. Never mind the 365 days. This year, I'm going to crap.
Mm-hmm.
How about this week?
Yeah.
How about today?
Yeah.
What can I do today? What intention can I set and what action steps can I take today? And then if you follow through with that, that sense of failure is gone.
Right.
And then it's just, I accomplished something today.
Yeah.
Now what can I accomplish tomorrow?
Right. Well, and I think it goes back to not being so harsh on ourselves, you know, like approaching it with compassion. And, you know, if you miss a week of the gym, then it's all right. You just start back up again. You have a whole lifetime to get in shape and be healthy and make these changes instead of
What's
just
the hurry?
giving up and throwing the towel in. So what? You ate like crap for 2 weeks, then have a salad. You know what I mean? And just be like, all right, now I'm eating a salad. This feels good. I start again. Everything is just starting again and again. And hopefully each time you start, maybe you're in a different place with it.
Right.
Well, you actually literally are always in a different place because we can never be in
Exactly.
the same place twice.
Exactly. So the factors do play a role. Well, I'm unfit, so why do I even want to go back? Well, that's why we go.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it feels good, and I mean, you just never know. You're just going to go, and it feels good, and over time, hopefully you create a habit. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of people just give it up because life gets in the way and they feel yucky. I don't know. What else?
There's silence because
I know. Yeah.
remaining present, especially around intentions, because intentions are rooted in the present moment. So there's that sense of needing. So, okay, let me put it this way. Let me use myself as an example. If I was to put myself under that pressure of setting an intention for the new year, I might start to get anxious about that.
Mm-hmm.
And overwhelmed, especially at the idea of committing to something for 365 days. Even though I have committed to things for 365
Mm-hmm.
days, but not one of them started on January 1st. Not one.
And most don't talk about start this 365 day plan today. Like, or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Pause, breathe, feel. Check in with yourself, ground and reset. Make mindful choices about an intention for that day, that week, or the month.
Yeah.
Let go of this year. I'm going to.
Right. Well, and you need to break things down into smaller pieces in order to be successful.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the only way to be successful. You have an overall vision, and then you got to break it down and take it one step at a time.
So it's going out and then working your way back and creating steps. And this is one of the things we learned in coaching school as well. Please don't turn on.
And I think too, with intention setting, if you're going to do that in the new year, think about a few qualities that you want to embody over the year. What are those words? How can you imagine yourself feeling? Like I was saying before, harmony. It's been joy. So what does harmony feel like in my body, right? And can I trust that my choices are going to create harmony, you know, which come back to our practices through meditation, through exercise, through writing, through reading. I start to arm myself with the tools and the vision and the imagination and everything and the centeredness to follow each step to continue to feel into how harmony is showing up in my life, you know, and it's kind of like the one vine at a time. When you swing through the jungle, you can't hug them all at once and expect to get to the other side, but you got to do one at a time, swing from vine to vine.
I don't think anyone's presented me with that visual before.
The jungle, it's always comes to mind. I don't know why. Just the jungle, like a monkey going
Reminds
through.
me of the movie The Jungle Book.
Aw,
Did you see the remake of it?
yeah,
Love that
I
film.
did. Yep.
Okay. Do you have a word that you're going to be bringing into the new year? Have you even thought about that yet?
I think I'm still. Sometimes I stick with the same word for multiple years, so I'm enjoying Harmony, yeah. I might add a couple, but I don't know yet. Freedom.
It's a beautiful one.
Yeah.
Last April on my birthday, after meditation, I said, all right, let me pull my card for my next year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the Nine of Pentacles, which talked all about independence and not making apologies for myself in any way, shape, or form. And really not, it's releasing that need to care what anybody else thinks about the decisions I make and the things that I do and the words that I express. So that was when I flipped that card over, I was like, yes, this is awesome.
That's perfect.
If I was, I don't know, I really can't think about it now, but
I was going to say, do you have a word or words?
I didn't use a word this year. I have let my card guide me.
Yeah.
I don't. But that's something that I'd have to, I think independence is really there.
Yeah.
I think that's but again, I am in something until April 18th. That's what
That's not that
feel
much
into.
longer.
No, it's not.
And I feel like we just had this conversation about what year we were in, the personal year numbers. Yeah.
Is it 7 or 8? Should I forget?
You're an 8.
I am an 8.
So you're going into 9. 9 is good. That's what I've been in.
I don't know. My last 9 wasn't so. My last 9 was when the shit was hitting the fan and everything started to change. So when I look back, yes, it was ugly and it was messy, but it was heavenly at the same time because it's brought me to where I am today. So I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I don't know what, and maybe I need to feel into why it is I fight New Year's so badly in the calendar, the January through December.
Well, I think it's because someone's telling you what to do.
And you
And
know
we
how I
all
feel about
know
that.
Shauna does not like
Don't tell me what to do.
be told what to do.
And
Even if I said, come over and have fun, she would say, don't tell me what to do.
be over in 5.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think for me, it goes back to, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Why do you have to wait for a specific date to start something?
Yeah, totally.
All right.
So, yeah, I think at this point in the show, I would encourage listeners to think about a word.
Well, I have pick a word,
Okay.
pick a card. You have cards at home? Draw a card for yourself for the year.
And don't be afraid to just follow that one thing and see how it's reflected in your life. What else do you have? It all leads to the same place. That, I promise you, when you work consciously with awareness, with intention, with your practices, with the divine, you get led to the same place. There's so many different paths.
And it's about paying attention and being conscious. And if you're choosing a word, or if you choose a card and there's a message there, that's up to you, the listener, the viewer, to consciously reflect upon as you move through your calendar year.
Yeah.
And that might look like, so just taking independence for an example. Situations come up where I'm being called to work with other people, and I feel conflict internally. That's because I'm practicing independence this year.
Yep.
And then making a point to feel into that, to say, I'm going to pull my energy back to independence because that's where I am right now.
You're exercising independence.
Same with the harmony and the disharmony.
Yeah.
So do you want to speak to that for a moment about when you feel disharmony and what you have done with that?
It feels heavy when it's not in alignment with harmony. If I'm going to just use the word that I've been using, it feels heavy. You know, it feels more like work. You know, like, and that doesn't sound very nice, work, but you know what I mean by work? like something that
I used to 3 years ago.
Right, exactly. It feels more like
Forced.
Somewhat forced. Some of it feels somewhat forced, or more of like a energetic drain, you know, even though when I'm in it, I might feel like, oh, this is totally fine. but the thought of it, or what happens after, or if I'm ignoring the other things that I know that I need to do, then I guess the heavy is.
And then I imagine you make a point to remind yourself that you've chosen the word harmony.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Right.
We're responsible, right, to make it happen. We have to have a practice of remembering the intentions that we set for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads me to this setting intentions, right? So we want to make solid choices for ourselves. And that doesn't just come lightly. It's not about, oh, I think I'm going to choose to do this today. It's realizing what needs to shift, what needs to change, what needs to increase, whatever. Making those solid choices. And then setting a theme. So I have here set a monthly theme, or maximize each day of every month. Instead of saying this whole month, how about today I'm going to do this?
Right.
The next day, today I'm going to work on that again and again and again until it becomes another practice. And like you said earlier, it's those small incremental steps that by the end of 2020, you're not saying, get me out of this year, I can't wait for this year to end. You can look back and say, I took all of those steps and this is what's different in my life.
It's withstanding and staying the course, because no matter what, life is going to happen. People are going to die. People are going to, things will happen. Relationships change. Things fluctuate all the time, but can you withstand or stay strong in your intention while holding the emotions and everything that comes with how life unfolds that we have no control over? I think that's where people are so influenced
and get tripped up
and they let it go. Oh, this is happening. I just couldn't focus because this and this. It's like, well, how about you try to do a little bit of both?
Yeah.
Because stuff is
I can't do that.
No.
Well,
it's just not fair. How could I possibly focus on harmony when this person is suffering so much? Because you can.
Because you have that choice.
Because you have the choice, yeah.
And no one is making you think a certain way. We all choose to think our thoughts on our own.
Right. And if we believe that we're all connected energetically, then it's your job to withstand your intention while holding the space of how life unfolds. If you want to contribute to the greater good, it's your job to be committed and to stay strong in your convictions of what you think is your path.
But that means that some people have to come out of that victimhood mentality.
Sure do. Yep.
There's an intention. Today, I am going to recognize when I'm in victimhood mentality, and I'm going to make a conscious effort to shift out of it.
Yeah.
Don't commit to that for 365 days.
Or even just becoming aware of it. Just aware, without even putting the shift part on.
Yeah, just become aware of it.
Yeah.
Because the shift will happen naturally on its
Right.
own. But just using that as an example, I would not say this year I am going to make a conscious effort to understand when I'm in victimhood. I would do it daily.
Right.
Because then I don't disappoint.
Well, I would look at what is the quality of not being a victim. What would be a word for that?
Freedom.
Okay.
Responsibility. I like being responsible.
Responsibility. I think
ownership.
So I would focus more on those words versus I'm going to recognize when I'm in victimhood.
I'm going to be responsible for my own emotional intelligence.
Yeah, or I am responsible.
I am responsible
for my own.
I am responsible for
evolving emotional intelligence. Yeah, be picky with your words, too. I would say spend time creating it, and it's okay. Like, you might create an intention or a word or whatever it is, and you can hone that too. Like, as time goes on and things do shift, then you can kind of carve out what isn't working, what is working, what you've noticed. Be a scientist.
Love scientists.
Yeah, be a scientist in your life and see what you come up with. Look at it as exciting, like get
As
light
an
about
experiment.
it. Yeah, it's an experiment.
Mhm.
Everything's an experiment. We don't know.
You make a good point, though, of reframing the language. That's really, really important. For example, and this is just a very simple example, but it's one that I am so conscious of. When someone says, don't forget, I think that is so negative. It's so negative.
Just say remember.
How's about always remember? Or
Yeah.
remember this, because then that sets that energy, oh, I need to remember something.
Yeah.
Instead of the don't forget.
That reminds me of, that's like a parenting thing. Instead of saying stop running, and then instead of stop running, you say walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very subtle, but it does make a difference in how we process that in our brain.
Very true.
Yeah.
Don't forget. No, I will remember.
Yeah, remember to call me tomorrow instead of don't forget to call me tomorrow. Remember to call me. Even that feels different.
It does.
Yeah.
That's why I think you brought up a really good point in regards to the victimhood. Today I'm not going to be a victim, or I'm going to be aware that I'm being a victim. Instead, today I choose to be aware of when I'm being responsible for my thoughts, words, and actions.
Yeah. Or I am responsible for my thoughts, words, and actions.
Today I am responsible for my thoughts, words, and actions.
Yeah.
It feels so light.
And then once you do that, I feel what came to mind when you said that, because I've worked with that energy before, is I am perfect, whole, and complete just as I am.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, not even instead of, it's like you just kind of shift into that and way out of victim.
And let me throw something else in there. I am doing the best that I can. I am doing the best that I can.
And that's the compassion.
And there's the compassion.
Yeah. You might look back and be like, oh crap, I just was very victim-y today. And then I forgive myself.
And I love myself anyway.
Yeah.
For being victim-y or selfish.
Yeah, or being hard on myself for being like, you would totally, how dumb that you were a victim today or whatever. It's like, no, just forgive yourself for even being that mean to think that there was something wrong with it.
There's a commercial on television right now for that disgusting fake Whopper at Burger King.
Oh,
have you had it?
Yeah.
Oh, you have?
I have. Well, the Beyond Meat.
I don't know what it's called.
Well,
is that what
it's
it is?
Meat
It's like
free, so it's really not bad, and it saves animals.
One of the commercials on television, this guy's taking it, and he's taking a bite and he's eating it, and then someone tells him that it's non-meat, whatever you want to call it. And he makes Beyond Meat. He makes some sort of, I can't wrap my arms around that. He makes some sort of comment like, well, wasn't I stupid? Or something like that. And I cringed. I was like, oh my God, why are you saying that to yourself?
Yeah.
And I know it's a commercial, but I would think that even as an actress, if they asked me to say that, I'd be like, what? I'm not saying that.
You could be
even if I'm acting.
That's surprising. Why couldn't they just say that? I'm so surprised that this,
Well, call me stupid.
I cringe about that stuff all the time.
Don't talk about yourself like that.
And it happens so much. Like, it's happened when I've gone to my daughter's classroom. She's 11 years old, and I go there for like a party or whatever. I haven't gone this year because she's in 6th grade. But last year in elementary school, I was invited to all that stuff. And just to hear some of the little girls talk about like how stupid they are, or like the negative talk is just like, wow. That's what their moms and dad, someone's saying that. And they think it's normal.
Mm-hmm. It's not normal.
And then we get it perpetuated by a Burger King commercial. Try the Beyond Meat burger, though.
No. I haven't had Burger King in like a decade.
Yeah, but it's not meat.
I don't care.
All right.
And it's not even so much about the meat, it's about the roll that the friggin' thing comes on. The carbs and that.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of Burger King.
Josh and I decided to try it when it first came out, just to see. Well, it was when we were doing the vegetarian thing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't bad at all. Like, it's an option if you're traveling and you gotta stop for fast food.
That's something else.
Right. At least you kind of have the options. It's neat because I think a lot of people that eat fast food all the time obviously don't have a very healthy lifestyle. So it gives
There's not another option.
lightens the load on the earth, which we know needs to happen if we're not processing ground beef and the 3,000 gallons of water that goes into 1 pound of beef. But then we're not talking about that
Nope.
today.
You're totally going off the rails here.
But anyway,
And that's okay.
That's part of the harmony. It has to do with the earth too.
There are some questions I wrote here. When it comes to setting your intentions for the new year, your new practices, whether you're setting them daily, weekly, or monthly, I really, really, really suggest that you just let go of this. This year, I'm going to take it in reasonable steps for yourself and make solid choices. What do you want to feel?
Yeah, the quality. What is just the quality? You don't even have to be super specific. But you could think about what you want to do. Say you do want to go to the gym every day. But ultimately, what do you want to feel?
Right.
Which is healthy. So the quality is perfect health.
Right.
Versus, I'm going to work out every day.
I choose to feel healthy.
Yeah.
And then you go and make the choices based on that feeling.
Yeah. I am healthy.
And it takes pressure off. So if I was to use that and I wake up January 2nd and say, I am healthy, I choose to feel that perfect health, my choice might not be to go to the gym. It might be to take a walk, and it might be to eat healthy that day.
Yeah. It might be like you might be in your living room and you decide instead of sitting on the couch, you're going to sit on the floor and do some stretching.
There you go.
And even food choices. I mean, there's so many ways to be healthy,
Right.
to choose health.
Yeah.
Meditation.
I know, I was just going to go, I was going in that direction.
Yeah.
What do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve? Ask yourself that question. How will I know when I have this? So I wrote these down like a week ago.
Yeah.
How will I know when I have this? So if we go to perfect health, that's very unique to the individual. You have to feel it in you. So what does perfect health feel like? And I think if you know what that feels like, you'll know when you have it.
Well, and it's a variation of things. You might notice you have more energy.
Mm-hmm.
You have a more positive mindset, easier.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel as tired, and your skin looks better. Maybe your clothes fit better. Notice it wasn't even the first thing I said.
Mm-hmm.
You want to dress in different colors. You want to do your hair different. You want to clean your, you have different motivation.
Right.
So that shows up in many, many ways, just to give suggestions. I know that our listeners like suggestions.
Yes. What do I need to feel, think, see, or hear? So get clear with your senses.
And be open to the unfolding, right? Be open.
And be
to the
okay
signs.
with stepping into the uncertainty.
Yeah.
What resources do you have? Let's take the gym for the example. Do you have a gym around you? Do you even know what the monthly cost is? Do you have roads around your house that you could just go out and walk? So what resources do you have available to you? And what resources would you need to achieve that desired feeling?
Mm-hmm. Even if it's like getting a new job, you see yourself, changing careers. You would start by just looking, maybe you brush up your resume.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want to take a couple classes or something that you want to add to that resume. Then maybe you start to look for jobs, and then you send out your resume. Just break it down.
What can I do today?
What can I do today?
And what steps do I need to take?
Yeah.
Those are the questions that you can ask yourself. Oh, it's so funny. The last thing I have written here is, let your heart guide you.
Yeah. And trust it. Even if it feels like you fall flat on your face. That's tough. But
Embrace failure. Let
as
yourself
experience,
fall.
right?
Let yourself fall. That was one thing that we did in Shadow, was letting ourselves fall. I mean, we didn't fall physically, but emotionally and mentally and meditatively falling. And it's terrifying because it goes back to that surrender and releasing control.
Yeah.
And just let yourself fall.
And
Let
fear
yourself.
of losing control.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. That's interesting. Let yourself fall. I feel like I've been able to do that more and more. And at first it felt totally uncomfortable. Like I would still hide when I was getting like what I thought was too emotional or whatever, but it's just like the more I do that, the more spacious I feel, because new awarenesses come, light bulbs go on. Sometimes I wonder, am I going to have like, when you get those light bulbs, it's not an everyday occurrence that you get a huge light bulb. And sometimes it's for me, it's a long time in between light bulbs. And so I wonder if I'm going to get like another light bulb. Maybe I haven't had that exact thought, but like, I wonder if there's going to be another big shift. Sometimes the last one was so big and you're like, this is it. And then there's always room for more.
There is always room for more. And it's interesting that you're saying that, because through this full moon, again, this is coming out until January 1st, but we're like at the tail end of a full moon here. I feel something coming, and I'm trying. Well, I can't force it because I don't know what it is.
Right.
But I want it. I want it now. Yep. And I found myself going to bed last night with a sense of disappointment, because I had an expectation that a huge shift was going to happen yesterday. Okay. There were little shifts.
Yep.
But I wanted that big light bulb. I wanted something, and it didn't happen. And then I recognized that, and I was like, you know what? It's okay, because I feel like I'm on the brink of something, and it's a great place to be. It's exciting, and it's terrifying at the same time. And isn't it interesting that we're about to enter a new year? So maybe this is the universe saying, "Oh, you want to make fun of the calendar year?
Just wait.
Well,
and see
look what's going to happen."
Right.
And whatever it is, I know that I can handle it, whether it's quote unquote good or bad. I mean, I don't really see things as good as bad or bad. It's what it is. Yeah. It is what it is.
It is what it is, and I hate that quote.
I know, but
it's phrased. It really is. And like, that's withstanding though. Like you'll have, your intention.
Right.
You're withstanding whatever happens in life and open to how it reveals itself after the unfolding, not as it presents itself.
And so the form that it takes, and our expectations around what the form is. So for myself, I know I can't say that. I can visualize like this is what I would like and this is what I hope, but I can't say this is how I want it.
Right.
Because the universe is going to be like, yeah, okay.
Surrendering outcomes. Outcomes. We have no idea the outcome.
No, but I know that everything is happening for my highest good.
Yeah.
Even the difficult things.
And there's infinite potential of outcomes in everything. So that's why sticking with the focus, because you create a greater momentum of energy when you're focused. That's why I'm staying with the podcast.
So when you told me that you were stepping aside, there was that sense of sadness because we started this together.
Yeah.
But I completely understand and was expecting it to happen. And then I stepped back and I thought, okay, the universe is saying, time for you to step up to the plate. Mm-hmm. Now is your time to stay focused and move this forward.
And independence. You asked for it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I asked for it, but maybe I did from a spiritual perspective.
Independence?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Now you're going to be thinking about
it. I've been thinking of it so much.
Oh, I feel like it's good. So let go of the resolution and think more of the qualities of how you want to feel.
How do you want to present yourself to the world? What version of yourself do you want to express?
And then small steps. It's the same as a practice.
Reasonable steps.
Reasonable. Forgive yourself when you don't get to them when you think you should. Shauna's favorite word.
Yeah.
Should. Surrender outcomes. Withstand. Can you just pick one or two qualities and stay with it? Stay the course. And really remind yourself when things happen in life, because it's going to happen in 2020 just like it did in 2019. Things are going to happen that are out of your control.
And it's how you deal with it. how you process it, how you work through it.
Yeah. Soften your heart. Just soften instead of hardening through the times that you would normally harden. You know, just awareness. Everything comes back to awareness. Be aware of what's happening in your body, your emotions.
One of the reasons why we're doing the podcast is to share awareness. And that is definitely moving forward as well. It's all about awareness.
So I wish you awareness in 2020. I wish you full expression of the qualities that you choose. I'm not going to wish you happiness and joy and peace, although that would be a beautiful thing, and I hope that it's a result of your practices. But that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it is a lot of pressure. So stop putting so much pressure on yourself. Do little ones. Little ones.
And love yourself. Love, love, love.
Mm-hmm. Regardless of what you discover. Regardless of the fact that it's January 2nd and you're not following through with your resolution or your intention. Love yourself anyway. And then ask yourself, what can I do today?
Yeah. What can I do right now? And let go. You don't even need to answer. Let go of outcomes.
That's
let it
hard
be
for
an
people.
inquiry to the universe, though. Inquire, get curious, become a scientist. Experiment.
Right.
Have a beginner's mind. Childlike curiosity. Lighten up. It's a lot of things that I just told you
I
to
know.
do.
I'm like, oh, there's so much going on. Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, Happy New Year. Or just New Year.
Welcome to the new calendar year. Welcome to January
Where it means
2020.
nothing and everything all at once.
This and that.
And I love you. And I
do
love you.
And I love you. So thanks for being here with me.
Yeah.
And like I said, you're going to see Jennifer for a couple of weeks after this broadcast, like we're on television. Episode, because we record in advance. So anything you want to say before we sign off?
No, because I'll talk about it next time. I don't want to end it now. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. There's nothing that's ending. It's just continuing.
It's shifting.
It's shifting. Yes.
Everything shifts.
Yes.
And it's important to honor the shift. So I will tell you that since I received your text earlier this week, when I come down here in the morning to meditate, I've been looking over here at the tapestry, and I'm like, let me honor that shift. Let me honor the fact that you're following your heart. Let me honor the fact that I'm a little sad about this.
Yeah. And
it's all good.
I guess, with you saying that, I've had some thoughts throughout even our episode today of like, maybe I don't want to, you know what I mean? But it's like, I know, Jen, this is,
How about this? When you're feeling the pull, tell me, and we'll set up a time and we'll come and record.
Right. Yeah.
I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere.
I know. That's true. That's true.
So we wish you a very beautiful 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th day of January. Let's just say the month. And I don't know what I want to say. I kind of wanted to say make 2020... No, I don't even want to say that.
Your most aware year.
No, I don't. I just want to say
breathe.
Focus on yourself. Breathe. And make the commitment to yourself. And it doesn't have to be a 365-day commitment, though I recommend it. The commitment to yourself to discover more about yourself.
That's a good one. Discovery.
I'm going to read what I posted on Instagram that I brought to your attention earlier. Let me find it. So I just posted this on social media yesterday. I think the best thing I ever did in my adult life was start digging deep and asking myself why I am the way I am and do the things the way I do. It takes a ton of work and intentionality, but getting to know yourself on a deeper level will help you thrive alone and with others.
So true. And be open to the unlimited possibilities that present themselves to you in any given moment, honestly. Because it
Follow
does
your heart. That's what I want to say.
follow your heart.
Follow your heart.
Follow your heart.
I don't care what you do in regards to resolutions, and well, I do care, but resolutions and intentions and whatever. Just follow your heart.
And you know, you might say I don't know how to follow my heart, but it's the quietest, softest,
Most subtle.
whisper. That. Just follow that.
Yep.
All right, until next time.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for
Shauna
listening.
Goldbrand.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Now I feel like I can say that all the time.
Yoga, Joy Wellness.
Thank
Just
you so
find
much.
us.
Yeah, find us. And
Yeah.
and I hate that word follow, but connect with us.
Yeah, be friends. Let's be friends.
Let's be friends.
Yeah.
We throw a lot of love out there on social media.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Love you.
Bye. Until next